Hi, this is Greg Lewis, City Manager here in Lebanon. Good day. Welcome to Lebanon in Depth. We're very pleased with our show today. We are on the beginning of the merry month of May. This is May 1st, and I don't know in New England whether people have the tradition of putting May baskets at your door. When I grew up in the Midwest, that's what we did. And I was talking it up, and strangely enough, a May basket appeared in front of our door this morning. Kind of early, because we were rising early this morning, so around 5 in the morning, somebody's putting a May basket out. So if you are into May baskets, I hope you get one. May baskets, for those who don't know, are usually baskets that have some flowers in it, which is very appropriate here in the spring. And they usually have something sweet to eat, some candy, and that's what this happened. They happen to provide dog food and cat food, because people know about my cats and my dogs. So happy May Day, and May Day is also devoted to working, and it's all over the planet. People are talking about the day of working, and today we are going to be working. We're going to be working on what everybody has been, I think, holding their breath and waiting to begin, and that is our recovery projects. And with me today, I have our Public Works Director, Mike Lavella, and I have Dave McNamara, who is our project leader for the firm that has been helping us in engineering this project. And these two persons have been really a pleasure for me to work with during some pretty tough months that we have had during the last, it seems like a longer, but we've been at it a long time since the flood hit and we started putting it together. We hope this program will be seen today as an update that we'll share, and we'll make sure it's widely shared, that on May 1st of 2013, that we will be saying what we have in terms of the recovery projects that are coming up here. We're going to be focusing on Slayton Hill Road, and we'll also focus on Dulac and Tannery Street below. We'll probably make some mention of our other projects, which will be Stores Hill, and we have an interceptor project where there's a failed interceptor in our city. And then there's some airport projects we'll mention a little bit, but probably not too much at all, just to make sure you're aware there's other projects. The centerpiece of all this is the Slayton Hill Road and Dulac and Tannery below. So with that, I'm going to ask Mike Lavelle to start us off by kind of give us a little overview of what we've been doing during this month of April. And I guess we've been going for a long time. We started some of the notice process during the month of March, but basically we sought funding out. And Mike, could you share what's taken place during this last month?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Greg. In addition to our engineers working very diligently on the design part of the project, we have completed our meetings with the City Council, both working session and public hearing, where we were able to discuss, review the project, get the council familiar with what we were going to do, what the costs were going to be. Public hearing, the opportunity, both those meetings for the public to speak, and we were successful in getting appropriations for the work. We've been continuing work with FEMA and NRCS. We're very fortunate that those two entities are contributing almost half of what we need for funds for all the projects, which is up over 10 million, and both of those are just under 5 million what they're providing for funds. So we're continuing to again work on design, discussions with property owners. We'll be scheduling some additional one-on-one discussions with property owners to review impacts to their properties and to get feedback.
I appreciate that. Dave, as a project engineer on this project, it's been we have been working on it quite a while. I really appreciate you and your firm. Could you describe what have you been doing since your firm was brought in to bear on how we're going to re-engineer the approach that we had beginning last summer when we experienced that extreme weather condition of the microburst and caused so much damage? What kinds of things have your firm been doing from that beginning point of your engagement to kind of bring it to today, prior to today, kind of things that your firm's been doing for us?
Sure. I mean, I think early on at the beginning, a lot of it was kind of collecting data and getting a better feel for the existing conditions, modeling what's out there, the drainage patterns that exist, and getting a handle on where the water's going and where it's coming from. And then from there, we start to put together the proposed improvements, and we look at individual pipes and ditches and whatnot that are out there, and get a better handle on what's appropriately sized, what can handle the flows that are coming off of the hillside there, and what needs to be upgraded and upsized, as well as looking at obviously the damaged areas and the pieces that needed to get restored as a whole. Throughout that, we've met quite a bit with the public, either in community conversations or some individual meetings on site at DPW. We've been working more recently with NHDES on permitting the project. We've got the 2 major permit applications have gone in the last couple of weeks. Those are under review now. Hopefully get those back in the next two to 3 weeks. And as we move forward into the final piece of the puzzle and putting together the contract documents and the final plans that'll go out to bid.
Sounds like we've been kind of gathering the information to learn the lay of the land here in this case. For me, it seemed real challenging as to what occurred and what we've been assessing, and how challenging has it been to try to figure this kind of the puzzle of what the lay of the land is versus what we can do to address it and try to prevent and mitigate against these type of extreme weather events to the extent we can.
Yeah, and that's obviously a challenge that we see more and more of, it seems now. And it's this particular situation is you've got a road that's essentially cut into the side of a hill, so there isn't a lot of flat land, there isn't a lot of area where you can put in a detention pond or a larger area that you can really slow the water down. So the focus is getting pipes and ditches and using the land that is available as much as possible to keep the water channeled where it needs to be and out of the road as much as it can and off of private property as much as we can. And it's part of the challenge is the city owns the road basically and some right of way on either side, but the origin of the water as you go up the hill is coming down through property that we don't really have control over, and so we need to work to manage it when it kind of gets to where we can.
Mm-hmm. So when that's flowing, it seems like it almost kind of visualize that water flowing on private properties, and then it reaches the point of the public right of way, which is to serve all the public and the persons that live on that road, the people who utilize that road. And then we need to manage that water when it comes into our area, and in the process we're going through, we're examining what differences should we make or could we make, and how will it impact the private properties that are adjacent to the road as it goes differently than restoring it to the existing structure that was there before the storm event. I think that is an interesting challenge, and we I guess as our city is try to be respectful of private properties and not taking private properties just to be taking private properties, but trying to find exactly what is needed for a public purpose, no less, no more, and where they might be needed, and trying to figure out. I always think it's kind of, when I watch you and the other that are the experts in our teams working, it seems like you're artists almost trying to figure out, because it doesn't seem, sometimes some of it seems scientific, but then some seems a matter of art and experience and knowledge, and trying to apply that to these facts on the ground. And it doesn't seem to me like this is a exact science that we're involved with. It's taking science and engineering and applying it to the facts on the ground, and trying to be artful and respectful in balancing different moves. There's cost, benefit, risk. And am I wrong? I mean, how far off am I on that kind of trying to characterize it? I'm not an engineer, and I don't know how people in the field like you would see this endeavor.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of judgment and involved. It's, especially on something like this where, the water is coming down the hillside, and we've only, from a practical standpoint, we only have so much information available to us in terms of exactly what kind of ground cover there is, and is the water being diverted by subtle little streams or channels upstream that we can't really pick up in the information we have. We have certainly relied a lot on some of the information we've gotten from the public in learning where some of those channels are and where the water has been kind of congregated and focused in areas that wouldn't necessarily jump out to you if you were just walking through there for your first time. So I do think it's not simply being able to say, all right, here's X amount of water, it's getting here, and the ditch has to be
I
this big.
heard one comment was, well, let's upgrade every pipe, every culvert. Let's just upgrade it, and then we'll upgrade them all, because we'll build so they'll never happen again, because we'll put it at total upgrade everywhere we go. But I think the kind of analysis said the kind of art and engineering that goes into this that doesn't call for this one size fits all. It calls for judgments to be made, choices to be made, and inputs to be had. I think we brought a lot of. It seems like we bring a lot of schools of thought to the equation from different professional points of view. Could we illustrate, Mike, who we brought into the conversations we've had over this period of time, trying to give them different perspectives on how to look at these solutions we're trying to create?
Well, it's been, initially, we've been very focused with our engineering team, our staff, but we've also, as part of the process, we're interacting with NHDES. We've been interacting with FEMA. Some of the areas outside of Slayton and Dulac, we're interacting with NRCS because they've got the expertise. And a critical part of it, as Dave mentioned, as engineers, we may not be there every day, where it's really critical that we've had a considerable amount of feedback from the property owners that they have the knowledge of where water flows. You can go out and look at streams, but you may not see when you're out there at a certain flow, water moves to this area. So that's been, their help has been immeasurable as we've tried to look at this. The basis for all this is very objective. You look at a watershed, you look at, what amount of flow you'll get out of there based on certain storms and certain data, but the challenge is taking that objective data and doing a lot of subjective work also, and looking at, okay, we've got to have this wide a ditch, do we have walls, do we slope it, because we are very sensitive to the impacts for the property owners. So that's why we have tried to spend as much time as we could interacting with them, developing designs, getting feedback from them, because in the end, we want a project that everybody can be proud of and works for everybody.
Yeah, and this is part of this discussion here, as we move on to the month of May, is you got to be commending the parties that live on the road, around the road, and both up that hill, and then on Dulac and Tannery, that they do have this knowledge. They in terms of our access, I think we had hydrological approaches. We had arborist approaches. We had arborists out there. We had, of course, our engineering. We had, so we've had environmental sciences. So we've had a lot of that, but we had these critical pieces of the stakeholders that are in the area doing what you said, Mike, and I think we really appreciate their. But I think the walkabouts that you have conducted up there have been well received by the members of the public, and it was well received by us from them, because they came out and they participated in the walkabouts and in the community meetings we've held. So that the only other person I want to make, we have to commend the work of the team on FEMA and the FEMA dollars. FEMA was cooperative. FEMA was in there. We had Shelley Hatfield. who was designated by our team as our key contact person to basically bird dog a relationship with FEMA from the very get-go. And that was, I think, very beneficial, helped iron wrinkles out. And there's some very complicated processes the FEMA on the federal level have to go through, and we reached the conclusion. I think we captured what we thought we would capture, about almost half of the amount of our costs, which is a good thing for our community. Now we're in the month of May as of today. So I wanted to bring the update down to focus on May, and then after that I think we'll talk about the summer, what we'll see this summer, and then the fall, and what we might see before winter, the cold season that stops, the construction season comes, and then next year what we might see. So starting with the month of May, Dave and Mike, your perspectives on what we'll be trying to accomplish here in May. And maybe we'll start with you, Dave, what your thoughts are.
Sure. Yeah, our focus right now is really ironing out the last few details of the plan sets. We are looking to meet with a few more of the property owners. We're going to open up and try to get some more individual meetings on site with the arborist to take a look at some individual trees and some locations on there, and see if some trees can be saved, and give some of the property owners a better feel for what it's going to look like afterwards. Beyond that, I think we're going to schedule one more community conversation just ahead of bidding the project, where we'll present essentially what should be the final set of plans, and before that goes out to bid later this month. We'll continue to work with NHDES on the permits. If they've got questions or anything as they go through their reviews over the next couple of weeks, we'll be focused on getting responses to them and keeping their reviews on track, and really just getting everything wrapped up so we can get this out to bid and get the construction going.
That's good. Mike, our goal is to bid here in May.
Our goal is to bid by the end of May. Our current funding with FEMA, there's a stipulation that the project should be complete by the end of November. We're going to be applying for a 2-year extension in that. Shelley's actually working on that. So we have a very aggressive schedule to get everything done that we need to. I think we can do it. In the summer, late fall, that's when the majority of the work will be done. There may be, after most likely a winter shutdown, depending on weather, next spring, they may see some restoration work, maybe some plantings, depending on what we get done this year. But I'm hoping, based on our schedule, that the vast majority of the heavy construction will be completed before the end of this calendar year.
And that'll be good news for everyone. It's always challenging to any construction project. We all know from our experiences in working in different roles with the construction projects about that. Sometimes there's variables that come out of nowhere that kind of interfere and engage us. And really we have to adapt and try to stay on schedule and stay on our budget, and that's always an effort that has to be continuing every day. What can in this design, what kind of design can we expect? We still ironing out the wrinkles, but if we were telling the general public about what kind of designs can we expect for these two areas they're talking about, Slayton Hill Road and Dulac and Tannery.
Well, I think on Slayton, really the intent is to put the road back where it was, where it is, and not a whole lot of change, no real change to the roadway width, location, the profile. Particularly on the uphill side, we're really looking at some wider ditches, some deeper ditches than what's out there today. Underneath the road, a lot of the culverts are they're all being replaced. Plastic, even if they're staying the same size, a plastic pipe we're going to replace it with concrete. And then a little over half are being upsized and to one degree or another, depending on what the design has played out. Dulac we're still working on Dulac. we had an initial design. We had some feedback from the residents. They're looking to try to scale down a little bit of what we had. So we've been working on that over the last couple of weeks, and we're hoping to meet with the residents of Dulac again in the next probably 2 weeks or so to present a couple other options and see if we can get consensus on a design down
And
there.
that's good, because I think the people on Slayton Hill, we've had so much great engagement with them, and generally most all are reached a point of feeling really comfortable with the project, that we're on the right move. We had a number of comments from persons on Slayton Hill expressing their satisfaction that the directions being taken is very moving. The people on Tannery and Dulac have some concerns because they're in a tight spot. They're in a tight spot because they're next to a river, but they're really adjacent to a very steep incline. And their road has certain contours and certain compositions that have posed them issues in a number of ways, from the water flow and maybe something coming from above them right into their particular areas, their driveways and some of their lower parts of their houses and into the grass they have, and then how the road operates, the speed of the road operation, its size. They're very close to the road, and then as we try to make a better drainage system and trying to reach the balance between their properties in their front yards and the drainage areas, I know that's all. It's a tough place for that road. I hadn't realized how tough it was when I first came here, and I was just driving around the community, kind of getting acquainted, and I drove it, and well, it's a very beautiful area, and the whole area in Slayton Hill and Dulac Tannery, very, very, very nice area. But I think those roads are pretty challenging in terms of the way some people drive these days, which has a little, there's somewhat things to be desired for people driving. I told people at city manager, the best thing you'd ever do for the city of Lebanon is don't speed. If you don't speed in Lebanon, you will save costs, you'll save tax dollars if we always slow down. The slower we can bring ourselves to be, the better we'll all be, safety-wise and also road-wise. And so those are just my own little pet issues about speed. Mike, how do we manage a project like this? What are the expectations that people should have that are experienced in the project? I guess there's going to be all kinds of people experience it. There's going to be people that live on the road, people that generally travel on the road. I mean, then we have particularized traffic that utilize the road for business purposes. It's like any of our roads when we're into some of our major road projects, is how we manage the construction. How do we manage the road? Do we close it? Does it keep open? Is it changed? Is there going to be closures? What kind of expectations can we have? It's early, but in people's minds, what should they be thinking about? We don't. I think the more we can give them information, the better off they'll be, because the less of it clears up some security. I think I can't help but feel a little uncertainty, of what's going to happen to me in my utilization of that road.
Yeah. Well, in terms of how the job's prosecuted, we as the owner basically have control over the project. We engage our consulting engineer to be the construction administrator of the project, so they're our eyes and ears out on the project, making sure it's being constructed as per plans, being able to be there, the eyes on the contractor. We've got the contractor that's going to be fully engaged. We'll be fully engaging the public, a lot of notices about what's going on. Our intent on traffic with this aggressive schedule, our intent is still to maintain at least one-way traffic through that area. There will most likely be times when we're installing our culverts and other things. We may, for a period of time during the day, have the road closed off at a certain point so people can access part of the road from Lebanon, the side, and part can access it from the Poverty Lane side. But we'll give out plenty of notice as we do that. The areas at the water main where we've got impacts, we'll have plenty of notice to people when water's being interrupted. We'll have engagement with fire and police, so we make sure that they're aware of what's going on, any traffic issues. The contractor will have to provide a pretty detailed traffic control plan that we review in-house with public safety and our engineer. So there are a lot of players involved. Anytime anybody has any questions, concerns, they can always call our office. You know, we'll coordinate with the engineer in the field and the contractor, but if they can't engage with the on-site engineer, they can always call us, and we'll always facilitate, you know, the discussions that need to be had.
One of the things I just, you know, as we are thinking there is that I want to remind everybody in the city to sign up for Leb Alert, because like this, for instance, these projects, where there's going to be Leb Alerts going out on these projects, and this is, I know our Leb Alerts are going out when we have our construction projects now. We're migrating to greater and more specific and more, I think, more informative all the time, the Leb Alert system. And as more people get involved, our goal this year was to have 6,000 people in the city sign up for Leb Alerts. And we want to move toward that. We'd like anybody that has any, you know, any concerns, any relationship to the project of Slayton Hill Road or Dulac Tannery, we urge you to sign up for Leb Alert if you haven't already done so. Hopefully you already done so, and please do if you have any trouble with pulling it off and getting that done. If you encounter any difficulty in going on our website and signing up for Leb Alert, call the city manager's office, and then we'll help walk you through. And when we go to meetings, we try to sign people up there at the meetings now, anytime we can, because we'll be using the Leb Alert. Our website should have also quite a presence in the city website. It's a very good resource, and hopefully you'll follow that. There'll be alerts will show up on the website, but we'll probably put in some other information on the website with regards to these projects. So you'll be able to, so it's, I think trying to get good information is you get it on the Leb Alerts, you'll get it on the website. These will be very proactive things that you'll be able to see and get information off of. And, you know, when it comes to formality, we'll also have formal letters and such like that, like always. But I think that's really good. Come to the community meetings. There'll be this one more community meeting well, it won't be the last time we meet the community. We're going to be involved in the community throughout this project, but another key community meeting will be here in May, just before we go out in the bid, and so everybody can kind of see the document we're going out on. Any other advice we should give citizens who have concerns about this project other than what we've already told them? Or just call Public Works, get signed up for Leb Alert, check the website. We'll be having all kinds of information about it.
Yeah, we want to be engaged with the public. At any time that they have questions, we want feedback, but also we're going to be, as you say, pushing out information through Leb Alert, through our website, on site. So this is all of our project once this is done, and while it's being constructed. So, and we're out there on the public's behalf. So
yeah,
we just want to get out information out.
And we'll probably do some more TV shows on this project, just because I think I'll use this project as a way of following on our TV show. This particular is very important. It illustrates what we're trying to accomplish, and some more updates will come on the television show and some other web links. Now, I had heard some concerns about people now getting kind of jittery about the fact that, here we are in May, and, everybody's worried about the winter, and is this thing going to move? Are we going to get doing things like, are we going to get contractors interested enough to bid on this project? Is this the project kind of project, is a good project that attracts bidders? Can we get this done in the schedule we've laid out, which is a very aggressive schedule? Thoughts on it, Dave, from your perspective?
Yeah, no, I think this will be an attractive job for contractors to bid on. It's in some ways it's relatively straightforward from a construction end. It's it's a roadway replacement. It's got some culverts in it, but it's going to be an aggressive schedule. That's we certainly feel it's feasible. It still can be done. There's certainly variables that crop up during the course of a construction project that can't be controlled. But assuming things go well, then we're confident that this is this is something that can be done in the time frame that Mike was outlining earlier in the conversation.
Thanks. Mike, your perspective on this?
Again, I agree with Dave. It is an aggressive schedule. Like I said, when you get down to the bones of the project, it is a pretty straightforward project. And I think I'm confident there'll be a number of contractors that'll be interested in this job.
Well, I want to thank Mike and Dave for being here with me today. I want to thank with all my heart all the persons that live on Slayton Hill Road and those who live on Tannery and Dulac for participating in the city through a very challenging circumstances in your own lives as you've gone through the experience of the extreme weather condition and living with the road. And we'll do our best to try to deliver the outcomes that we're projecting. We have received your patience as we've gone along. When we started the project in the midst of a heavy storm, there's a bit of a lag between our fighting the storm results and then our recovery. You went to recovery, we're still fighting the storm. I think we learned some lessons there. Once we righted the ship, and now we're all on the same page of trying to work through the recovery after we've righted the ship. We want to commit to you to do all that we can, and we hope you continue to have the patience with us and communicate with us. I want to thank all the employees we have who've been plunging into this with their hands and their backs and making this thing work, and their minds and thinking about things in our firm. So with everyone's full cooperation, 360, we'll get this project done. Thanks again. This is Greg Lewis. This is Lebanon in Depth. We're going to begin the project now. We're going to take and we're going to make that Slayton Hill Road the road that it should be, and we're going to take care of Dulac and Tannery. You guys take care. Have a good day.